The Pats sit atop the AFC East for the first time since 2021. We start today by telling you how high we think this team's ceiling truly is. This is Locked On Patriots.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? I am your host, Nick Cattles, born and raised in New England, been covering the Pats for the past 16 years. I'm also the co-host of the Greg Bedard Patriots podcast with Nick Cattles and a sports talk show host veteran. On today's episode, we break down an offensive player's impressive development, and his name is not Drake Maye. Also, find out what we think the Pats should and will do as the trade deadline approaches. But first, we'll tell you just how far we think this team can go. We appreciate you joining the show as always, making us your first listen, and for being an everydayer. Shout out to the everydayers. The Locked On Patriots podcast is a proud partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget, especially if you're watching on YouTube, to like, comment, and subscribe to this podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. I feel like Joe Castig from back in the day. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? The Patriots are in first place in the AFC East after 6 weeks. A month and a half of the season is done, and here we are. The Patriots atop the division, a third through the season. Who thought we would be here at this point? I didn't. I did not think the Patriots would be sitting in first place at any point during 2025. But here we are. It's a reality. The Bills lose to the Falcons. Next thing you know, Patriots sitting right there at the top of the division. Now, the question is, what is the ceiling? And I believe that the ceiling for this football team, if healthy, huge if, always is a huge if. But if this football team is healthy, I honestly believe they can get to the divisional round of the playoffs. I feel like they can get through the wild card. Plenty of reasons why. Let's start with the quarterback. Drake Maye right now. And everything is in real time. We're talking about what's happening right now in the middle of October. Right now, Drake Maye is a top 10 quarterback. And I would argue right now, Drake Maye is a top, at worst, 7 quarterback in the NFL. We went through the spiel on yesterday's episode. I'm not going to sit here and bore you with all of the numbers again. You can check out yesterday's episode if you didn't catch it. We talk about Drake Maye exceeding expectations and the fact that, yes, he absolutely should be in the MVP conversation after 6 weeks. He is a top, at worst, 7 quarterback. And when you have a top, at worst, 7 quarterback, you always have a shot to make some noise, not just in the regular season, but in the postseason. You're one special performance from a top quarterback away from moving on. That's how it works. We saw it time and time and time again during the Tom Brady era. So when you have that guy and you feel like you have that guy, and I certainly feel like, and I think you feel like, that the Patriots have that guy in Drake Maye, yes, he gives you a shot to get to the divisional round of the playoffs. I also look at the head coach, Mike Vrabel. He's got to the AFC Championship game before with Ryan Tannehill. His strategy, his approach to games, getting this team mentally prepared for the challenges. We've seen it in back-to-back weeks, first as the underdog, and then how would they follow up winning big time Sunday Night Football in Buffalo? We saw they followed up with enough to win the game down in New Orleans. So I feel like Vrabel will have his team ready to play. I feel like he will be all over the details. We saw the best challenge of the Mike Vrabel Patriots era at the end of that game in New Orleans against the Saints, making sure the officials took a look and realized Kayshon Boutte actually was in bounds when that play was over, which ended the game. It's that type of detail, that type of challenge that I was looking forward to when Mike Vrabel took over. Patriots also have an incredible run defense. One of the best run defenses they've had in a very long time. One of the best run defenses in the NFL this year through 6 weeks, which means they can make any offense one-dimensional. James Cook was cooking, no pun intended, before going against the Patriots on Sunday night. Patriots shut him down and shut the Bills' run game down. So when you could combine really good run defense and a good pass rush, yes, you need some help with the fifth guy at times. Sometimes you even send six, but you're getting pressure on the quarterback. You got a shot. Pressure on the quarterback, pretty good coverage on the back end, shutting down the run game, you got a shot. And what also gives this team a shot to get into the playoffs is the schedule. And this is not hindsight. This is not hindsight being 2020, Monday morning quarterback, yeah. No, it's not about any of that. We said this before the season. The Patriots' schedule is soft, pillow soft, Charmin soft. So let me remind you what we're looking at here. This week at Tennessee, they're 1-5. Then you host the Cleveland Browns with rookie quarterback Dylan Gabriel. Cleveland is 1-5. Then you've got 2 games back-to-back tough. You host the Falcons. We saw that defense racing around the field against Buffalo on Monday night. Not an easy task. Talented players like Bijan Robinson and Drake London. So you've got to deal with Atlanta. That's a tough one. Then you go on the road to play Tampa Bay against another MVP candidate in Baker Mayfield. That will not be easy. You have to imagine the Bucs will be healthier at that point. So those are the 2 tough games. But you got Tennessee. You host Cleveland. And then after those 2 tough games, you play against the Jets. The Jets, last time I checked, they have not won a football game yet this season. Justin Fields literally just had one of the worst starts we've ever seen a starting quarterback have out in London. And if you're not facing Justin Fields, you're facing Tyrod Taylor, who's been a career backup for the most part. And I wonder if Aaron Glenn is already dead man walking in New York. Then you travel to Cincinnati. No Joe Burrow. Cincy right now is 2-4. And I wonder with that offensive line and Joe Flacco's lack of mobility, will Joe Flacco still be healthy? We'll see. Then you play the Giants. You host them at Gillette Stadium. That is a primetime game. Giants could be a little feisty. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatteraboo. They got some talented players on defense. Maybe the Giants are a little bit frisky, a little bit feisty. Then the bye week. Then you play at Baltimore. Baltimore's 1-5. I would not count them out if healthy, but their defense has been trash. Then you play the Jets again, week 17. I mean, that is just Tank City. You also host Buffalo. My bad. You also host Buffalo, and that won't be an easy game. But then you get the Jets and the Dolphins to finish the season, week 17, week 18, Tank City, USA for both of those teams. I don't even know if Mike McDaniel or Aaron Glenn will still be employed at that point. And remember, the Patriots right now are 4-2. If they go through that stretch of games that I just shared with you, they go through that stretch of games and they go 6-5, they finish at 10-7. 10-7, I believe, especially this year, gets you into the playoffs, which brings me to my next point. In the AFC right now, does any team scare you? Are you freaking out about facing any team? Maybe Kansas City, Rashee Rice coming back. I still think Kansas City is going to play its best football as the season goes along. We saw that with the Patriots for a long, long time with Brady and Belichick. And I think Kansas City is at that point now. They get the benefit of the doubt. And you've seen some of that offensive life. Patrick Mahomes looked good this past weekend. So Kansas City, yes. But does Buffalo scare you? You just beat Buffalo in Buffalo. Pittsburgh, does Pittsburgh scare you? You should have beat Pittsburgh if you didn't turn the football over 5 times. Indianapolis, off to a great start, but Daniel Jones in a big game, we'll see. And I think Indy's defense is a little suspect. We just saw that against Arizona and Jacoby Brissett. Does Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence shake you in any way? Not me. The Los Angeles Chargers, really good quarterback, really good head coach, but the offensive line is falling apart, and they're now down to their 3rd running back. Amari and Hampton will likely be back at that point, but what do you got there? Denver, are you afraid of Bo Nix? Of course, that defense is really good, but I wouldn't be afraid of Bo Nix in that offense. So the AFC is there to at least get through the wild card round. And yes, you need to fix things. You need to fix the run game, which has been putrid. We've talked about it. The run game and the offense has to come around. You do not want to be one-dimensional. That would be a disaster. I think they'll eventually get better, but we'll have to wait and see. And yes, your pass defense still gives up the occasional big play. You've got to make sure when you get to the playoffs, you can't be giving up chunk plays over and over and over again. I think the Patriots need to be much better in the low red zone area offensively. They have not done a good enough job. Most recent example was against the Saints when you're sitting there first and goal around the 5-yard line, just inside the 5-yard line, and you can't score a touchdown. It's a disaster. 2 bad runs, a delay of game, a wide receiver screen, you're kicking a field goal. And the red zone defense has been one of the worst in football. I'll have to see them play against a better red zone offense than the Saints before I believe they've turned something over there. So, yes, there are weaknesses. There are things they've got to work on. No doubt about it. But look at the schedule. Look at your quarterback. Look at your coaching staff. And look at the conference. This team can get to the divisional round of the playoffs. I wouldn't go beyond that, but they can get there if they're healthy. That's the ceiling. If things fall together well, they stay healthy, that's the ceiling. All right, we're getting closer to the trading deadline. We'll tell you how the Pats should, and I think likely will, approach that deadline. That's next. This is Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Cody Rourke from Locked On Broncos, and this episode is brought to you by Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. This is Peloton's most advanced equipment yet, giving you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or you're cross-training with your favorite instructors like Alex Toussaint. It's training reimagined to make your workout more personal. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with features that help you plan, stay motivated, and hit peak performance. You can let yourself run, lift, flex, and go while Peloton handles all the rest. Plus, Peloton IQ provides real-time strength coaching, tracking your progress and suggesting weights that challenge you so you can get stronger. Plus, the new movement tracking camera, it counts your reps and corrects your form in real time, making sure every rep is safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton Cross-Training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you just can't miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You pick a bet, you put down $5, and if that bet hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love how FanDuel gives you so many ways to play, whether it's building parlays, trying some player props, even following the live lines during games. It makes watching football even more exciting when you've got a little something riding on the action. Whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats like I do, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So again, right now, new customers can bet just $5 and you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. You pick the bet, you put the $5 down. If that bet hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. The trade deadline, if you don't know, is 3 weeks away. We are 3 weeks away from the NFL trading deadline, November 4th. That's the date. Circle it on your calendar because I believe the Patriots should, and more importantly, I believe the Patriots will be aggressive to add talent before or at the trading deadline. Now, why will they be aggressive? Let's start with the owner. Robert Kraft is 84 years old, and he is desperate to win. He wants to win. The clock is a ticking. Tick, 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 tick. I know it. He knows it. We all know it. That's the way the world and life works. And Robert Kraft, after watching back-to-back 4-win seasons, he's had enough. He's had enough of that losing. And I believe that he is desperate. He wants that urgency across the organization. And now you wake up and you're on top of the AFC East, just more artillery for the front office and Mike Vrabel to go to Robert Kraft and say, Robert, we need to get going here. We got a shot. We've got an opportunity. Lay out the case as I just did last segment. Do we have the green light? And I believe that Robert Kraft will give the front office, Mike Vrabel, the green light to make moves. This is an opportunity to press fast forward on your timeline. We thought that, hey, maybe good season. I predicted that the Patriots would finish 9-8. which would give them a shot at the playoffs. 9 wins might get you in. But now we sit here, 4-2, first place. As I mentioned last segment, you go 6-5, you finish with 10 wins. The door is ajar, folks. The door is ajar. And Mike Vrabel and company, they're, I believe, going to run through that door. They have an opportunity to press the fast forward button on this timeline and get to the playoffs maybe a year before they thought they would get to the playoffs. And if you're Mike Vrabel and you've been standing in front of this locker room preaching belief, you believe in this team, you believe in the quarterback, you believe in the coaching staff, you have been from the very first day of camp, you have been preaching to this team that you are going to do everything you can with every fiber of your being to make them a good football team, to get them to the playoffs, to make them eventually a contender. And I just feel like you can't sit or stand in front of that room and preach belief and push competitiveness and talk about how you want to get to the promised land eventually. You can't sit there or stand there and say all of that and then be in first place after 6 weeks with the conference having, for all intents and purposes, a down year so far and not be active. I believe this team will be active. I believe Mike Vrabel will do something, if not multiple things, before and or at the trading deadline. The circumstances, they add up. All the reasons are there on the table. You've got a young team. You've got a young team, and if you look at Drake Maye's development and his growth, you look at other players. We'll get to one next segment. You look at other players, their development, their growth. Craig Woodson, for example, defensively, he gets better every single week at safety. The left side of your offensive line, you certainly hope, is going to get better. They weren't great against the Saints, but you hope they get better. But you look at this team, one of the youngest teams in the NFL. If you can make a move or a couple of moves that inch the football towards the goal line, closer and closer at this point of the Mike Vrabel tenure, then you should take the swing. Take the swing. And you have the resources and you have the assets to get deals done. You want to talk about cap space. Over the Cap, that website, I looked at the salary cap space for not just this year right now on the books, but also 26 and 27. Here's what it looks like. 2025, right now, you have $54.6 million of salary cap space. Not too shabby. In 2026, you have $53.2 million of salary cap space. And yes, you've got to get deals done. You'll be looking at Christian Gonzalez trying to get done. You'll be looking at Drake Maye trying to get that extension done. There are other things and other ways that you can work these deals out and not sacrifice the majority of your cap space. Christian Gonzalez, he can get done this offseason. Drake Maye can get done the next offseason. Christian Barmore is already done. Milton Williams is already done. So you've got $54.6 million right now in space. Next year, you got $53.2 million. And in 2027, you have $84.3 million in salary cap space. You can absolutely add to this football team without crippling your books. There's no doubt about it. And you also have draft assets for the 2026 draft coming up. You've got your first, your second, and your third round picks. You actually have 2 fourth rounders, one of them from Kansas City. You have a 5th rounder. You have 2 sixth rounders, again, thanks to Kansas City. And you've got 2 7th rounders, thanks to the Saints. So your first, your second, your third, 2 fourths, a 5th, 2 sixths, and 2 sevenths. You have some picks that you can deal. You can absolutely wheel and deal some of these picks. And I know that Mike Vrabel, the Micah Parsons stuff, months ago, he talked about, where this team is, and you don't want to sacrifice future assets too often unless it's the right player, yada, yada. Well, now we're in the season. We're in the season. You see your own team. You're evaluating the conference. You're evaluating your own division. You're seeing who's available and what the asking price is, and you have the resources, you have the assets. Now, with all of that said, I'm not sitting here pushing the Patriots to be desperate. I don't want a dumb move. I don't want a move just because you feel like you have to make a move. Who are you bringing in? Does that person fit the culture? What is the age of that player? Do you think that player has much left in the tank? What's the contractual status? Or are you going to run right into a situation that might make you uncomfortable from a negotiating standpoint? So all of these things matter. The age, the tank, so to speak, the production, what has that player done versus what that team is asking for in return for that player? You don't want to overpay for somebody who's not going to significantly impact your football team moving forward. So reasonable price. Nobody's saying go crazy, go bananas, be desperate. Positional value if you need a running back. If a running back is out there, let's say Derrick Henry, is it worth giving up a second-round pick? Or do you look at the offensive line and all the things we talked about on yesterday's episode about some of the issues with this run game? Is Derrick Henry the magic elixir? What does it cost? Is it worth the cost? All of those things matter. All of those things should be discussed. But big picture, from 30,000 feet, the Patriots should be, and I believe will be, aggressive in adding talent before and or at the trading deadline. All right, there's one offensive player that has consistently improved, and it's time for that player to get some more shine. We'll do that next as we continue with today's episode of Locked On Patriots, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. We're talking about the queues, the login screens, prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why you want to use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time, it's fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price that you actually pay. You pull up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, you see amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games for as low as $100. And the app makes it super simple. You can even see the exact view from the seat before buying the ticket. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Kayshon Boutte keeps improving. In 2023, Kayshon Boutte had 2 catches. His rookie season, 2 catches. In 2024, last year, he had 43 catches, 589 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And given the circumstances, a trash offensive line, a pretty bad quarterback situation before Drake Maye came around, offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt, we all know, is he an offensive coordinator right now? Not the last time I checked. Playing for a losing team, not many other weapons on the team to help you. And it was still a good season for a second-year wide receiver. 43 catches, just under 600 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Not bad. But so far, through 6 weeks of the current season, Kayshon Boutte has 18 catches. That is 41.8% of his total from a year ago. So almost 42% of the catches he had last season he has right now through 6 weeks. He has 301 yards, which is over 50%. It's 51.1% of his total receiving yards number from last season. And he has already tied his touchdown total from last year at 3. If we want to have some fun and talk about on pace, the quote-unquote on pace numbers, Kayshon Boutte right now, if he continues to do what he's done through the first 6 weeks, he'll finish with about 50 catches, 850 yards, and somewhere around 8 or 9 touchdowns. And let me ask you this. If Kayshon Boutte finishes with 50 catches, 850 yards, and even 8 touchdowns, what do you think? You know what I'm thinking? That's a legitimate NFL wide receiver. That's a legitimate number 2B/3A guy. If you can get 50 catches, 850 yards, and 8 touchdowns from your third-year wide receiver, you feel pretty good. Kayshon Boutte is only 23 years old. And if he can continue to play the way he's playing, that game he had against the Saints was just tremendous in so many different ways. If Kayshon Boutte can continue to play at that kind of level, now he's not going to do that every week because Drake Maye, he's finding the open guy. Game plans change from week to week. But if at the end of the year we're looking at 50 or more catches, 850 or more yards, and 8 or 9 touchdowns, I feel like there's no doubting the idea that Kayshon Boutte is a solid piece for the future of this franchise, that you can look at him and say he's a 2B, maybe a 3A. But it goes beyond stats, because what Kayshon Boutte is doing, which is vitally important, is he's coming through. He's coming through during the critical moments. We talked about it a little bit after the Saints game. But let's throw some more onto the pile here. Alex Barth from 98.5, my old stomping grounds, he posted all 5 of Kayshon Boutte's catches in New Orleans went for first downs. That's nice. But listen to this. Alex Barth writes, Kayshon Boutte's last 10 catches in a row, going back to the Steelers game, have all been for first downs. 10 straight catches for first downs. Overall, 16 of Kayshon Boutte's 18 catches this year have moved the chains. And one of the 2 that didn't was a 14-yard gain. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that the quarterback trusts and believes in Kayshon Boutte, which is a huge, huge part of this puzzle. It also tells you that Kayshon Boutte has the clutch gene. We've seen the clutch gene from Drake Maye the past few weeks. You see the clutch gene from Kayshon Boutte. Have to have it tight plays, 3rd and 11, back shoulder, make it happen. End of the first half, make it happen. First touchdown against the Saints, contested catch, difficult, make it happen. So Kayshon Boutte continues to grow when it comes to productivity, continues to grow his relationship, the trust and the belief between he and the young quarterback, and he has shown that he has the clutch gene. But that's not it. We talked about during the offseason an awful lot about the Patriots needing a downfield receiver, somebody who can create some explosive plays. Now, I mentioned last year, I mentioned this multiple times, that Kayshon Boutte was inefficient when it came to catching deep passes. He had a number of drops. Now, you can credit that to the quarterback at times. You can credit that to the coverage. But he wasn't necessarily super efficient downfield. Well, he has been fantastic downfield. Taylor Kyles from CLNS writes that Kayshon Boutte has been elite when it comes to deep passes and targets. Per Pro Football Focus, Kayshon Boutte is tied for the 21st most targets on deep targets. He's got 7 on deep targets. And when you talk about deep targets, you're talking about usually 20-plus air yards. So he's tied for 21st in targets. He's got the 3rd most receptions. He's caught 6 of those 7 targets. He's tied for the 2nd most receiving touchdowns. He's got 3. He's tied for the most contested catches. He has 3. And if you ask about the passer rating on deep targets, Kayshon Boutte, the passer rating when throwing to him under those circumstances is tied for the highest at 158.3. And the incompletion on the deep pass was on an uncatchable target week 1 against Vegas. And his catches have not been easy catches. Again, back to Taylor Kyles. Kayshon Boutte leads all qualified receivers in next-gen stats catch rate over expected at plus 25.2%. Tough catches, plays downfield, trusted by his quarterback. Critical moments, clutch gene. And we can't forget that Kayshon Boutte was a legitimate talent at LSU. He had 2 obstacles. He had an ankle injury, which destroyed his combine and hurt his value, and also maturity and red flags. Now, for that last part, pretty interesting tweets from Jacques Doucet, a Baton Rouge TV sports director. He caught up with Kayshon Boutte after the game in New Orleans. Kayshon Boutte said, quote, "I wasn't always the person I wanted to be 3-4 years ago. I had a lot of off-the-field stuff, a lot of character concerns," unquote. Kayshon Boutte admitting, I wasn't the greatest guy. I had some character concerns. There were issues, and I am taking accountability and telling you, yes, there were character concerns. There were issues. I wasn't the dude I wanted to be 3 or 4 years ago. Doucette continued. He tweeted, "It's my understanding Kayshon Boutte stopped by LSU during the offseason and thanked LSU football head coach Brian Kelly and others for what they did for him. Coach Kelly likewise texted Kayshon Boutte after his big game on Sunday. If we are seeing the on and off field development and maturity it seems like we are seeing from Kayshon Boutte, he could be an absolute gem, an absolute steal from the 2023 draft, and he could play a big role moving forward with Drake Maye and this Patriots offense. So shout out to Kayshon Boutte working on himself on and off the field as he continues to get better." That wraps up this edition of Locked On Patriots. Thank you for making us your first listen and for being an everydayer. Reach out to me on Twitter at NickCRadio. And don't forget to throw a comment in on the YouTube channel. Hit that like button and subscribe for your second listen. Get a double dose of the Locked On NFL podcast with Tyler the Madman Rowland and Tony Wiggins. Find Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day, and we will see you for our Tennessee-New England crossover tomorrow.